Healing practices. Practice. Removing the object from the Buckeye Sangha. Master Linji, the great 9th century Chinese Zen master and the founder of the lineage of Plum Village, was fond of saying, "Remove the object." The object is the person or situation we're thinking about, the story. So the practice is to remove the object and come back to the body and feelings. Stay with the energy. Let go of the thinking. By following the energy back into our body and feelings, we can find the internal knots, embrace them tenderly, let the tension there unwind and release itself, and we can heal. It's a little like learning how to ride a bicycle. You can sit on it, someone can push you a bit, but at a certain point, you know you can ride. I got it! I got it! The remove the object meditation goes like this. 1. Breathing in, I find my in-breath. Breathing out, I find my out-breath. 2. Breathing in, I call to mind a charged issue, object. Breathing out, I open to that issue. 3. Breathing in, I let go of the thinking about the issue, object. Breathing out, I embrace that energy within my body. 4. Breathing in, I am aware of my body and my feelings. Breathing out, I embrace my body and feelings tenderly. 5. Breathing in, I send my in-breath to my body and feelings. Breathing out, I release the tension in my body and feelings. 6. Breathing in, I am aware of my in-breath. Breathing out, I am aware of my out-breath. Sometimes the energy in the body and feelings can seem impenetrable or overwhelming. In that case, we can touch the difficult feeling or situation for a short time, perhaps 20 seconds to a minute. Then we can open our eyes and rest our attention on something outside us for a few minutes. Perhaps look out the window at the natural world. Then, when we're ready, we go back to be in touch with the feelings again. We can try going back and forth for a few rounds. Alternating our attention like this provides us a safe base outside and gives us space inside. Practice. The 16 breathing exercises. The teaching on mindful breathing has come directly from the Buddha. The 16 exercises of mindful breathing are practices for taking care of our body, our feelings, our mind, mental formations, and objects of mind, our perceptions. These teachings are useful for our daily practice and very helpful for dealing with painful feelings. Any time we're suffering and we feel we can't bear it and we don't know what to do, these 16 exercises are available to us. The first set of 4 exercises, the body. The first exercise is to recognize the in-breath as the in-breath, and the out-breath as the out-breath. Breathing in, I know I'm breathing in. Breathing out, I know I'm breathing out. It's very simple, but the effect can be very deep. When you pay attention to your in-breath and recognize it, you naturally release the past and the future and come back to the present moment. You begin to generate the energy of mindfulness and concentration and obtain a degree of freedom. The second exercise is following the in-breath and out-breath all the way through. Breathing in, I follow my in-breath from the beginning to the end. Breathing out, I follow my out-breath from the beginning to the end. We preserve our mindfulness and concentration during the whole time of our in-breath and our out-breath. We don't say, breathing in, oh, I forgot to close the door. There's no interruption, and your concentration increases. This is called following the in-breath and the out-breath. Some versions of the exercises mention recognizing the length of our breath. Breathing in, I know my in-breath is long or short. We don't make any effort to make it shorter or longer. We allow our breathing to be natural. With awareness of our breath, it becomes deeper, more harmonious, more peaceful, all by itself. The quality of our breathing is increased by our attention. The third exercise brings our mind back to our body. Breathing in, I am aware of my whole body. Breathing out, I am aware of my whole body. In our daily life, often our body is there, but our mind is elsewhere. Our mind may be caught in the past, in the future, in our projects, our anger, our worries. You're there, but you're not there. You're not available to yourself or to others. So the practice is to go back to our breathing. The breath is a bridge linking body and mind. The moment we begin to pay attention to our breath, our body and mind naturally come together. We call this the oneness of body and mind. Our breathing becomes calmer, and the body and feelings profit. This is the practice of peace. We're established in the here and the now, fully present, alive, and we can touch the wonders of life. Just this simple exercise can bring a miracle, the capacity to live deeply in each moment. We go home to our body to become aware of its existence and to take care of it. We may have neglected or mistreated our body. We embrace our body with our mindfulness and become aware of anything in our body that needs our attention. We may discover that we've been living in such a way that tension, pain, and stress have been accumulating in our body for a long time. The fourth exercise is to release the tension in the body. Breathing in, I calm my body. Breathing out, I calm my body. We can allow the tension to be released when we're sitting, walking, or lying down. Breathing in, I'm aware of my whole body. Breathing out, I calm my whole body. We may have learned techniques of deep relaxation, and we may have succeeded in relaxing to some extent. But the basic practice for really releasing the tension is to release the past and the future, go back to the present moment, and enjoy the fact that we are alive, and we already have enough conditions to be happy. Please do reflect on this. We have to master these first 4 exercises. That is the minimum we need to do. To be mindful of our breath is to come home to ourself and to generate the energy of our true presence. With that energy, we embrace our body and bring relaxation and calm to our body. Deep relaxation of the body can bring about the relaxation of the mind. If we cannot succeed with our body, it will be difficult to succeed with our mind later on. The second set of 4 exercises, feelings. With these 4 exercises, we come to the realm of feelings. Once we have succeeded in bringing calm and relaxation to our body, we can go back to our feelings and help. The 5th exercise is to generate the energy of joy. Breathing in, I feel joy. Breathing out, I feel joy. As a practitioner, you have the capacity to bring a feeling of joy into yourself in the here and now. The more mindful and concentrated you become, the more joy and happiness will increase. The first practice that brings joy is releasing. For joy to be possible, there are things we should be able to let go of. Usually we think that joy is something out there that we need to go after and obtain. But if we know how to identify the obstacles in us and let them go, then joy naturally comes to us. The 6th exercise is to bring in a feeling of happiness. Breathing in, I feel happy. Breathing out, I feel happy. Practicing these exercises can in itself bring happiness into us. Mindfulness and releasing tension are sources of happiness. Mindfulness helps us recognize the many conditions of happiness we already have. So to bring in a feeling of joy, of happiness, is easy. We can do it any time, anywhere. In the Zen tradition, meditation is considered to be nourishment. In Zen literature, there is the expression, the joy and happiness of meditation as daily food. You can heal and nourish yourself with meditation. The 7th exercise is to deal with the painful feelings and emotions that have manifested in us. Breathing in, I am aware of my mental formations. Breathing out, I am aware of my mental formations. This exercise helps us learn how to handle the energies of pain, sorrow, fear, and anger inside us. We practice mindful breathing, mindful walking, in order to generate the energy of mindfulness and concentration. It's exactly with that energy of mindfulness and concentration that we recognize and embrace our painful feeling that is there. We should not cover up the pain. We take care of it. To ignore or suppress the pain would be doing violence to ourselves. Mindfulness is us, but the painful feeling is also us. There's no fighting. This is the view of non-duality. When we avoid going home to ourselves, we allow our pain to grow. The method proposed by the Buddha is to go home and take care. We need some mindfulness and concentration. We should be able to generate mindfulness and concentration so we're strong enough to not be overwhelmed by our pain and sorrow. And with that energy of mindfulness and concentration, we can go home with confidence and recognize the painful feelings. Breathing in, I recognize the painful feeling in me. Breathing out, I embrace the painful feeling in me. This is a real practice. A practitioner should be able to recognize her pain and embrace it tenderly, like a baby. Sometimes it may be a little bit difficult, especially when we're beginning. The collective energy of the Sangha can help. The 8th exercise is to release the tension and calm the feeling. Breathing in, I calm my mental formations. Breathing out, I calm my mental formations. In the 7th and 8th exercises, we use mindfulness to embrace our pain and get relief. It's exactly like the practice concerning the body. We go home to our feeling, recognize the feeling, and embrace the feeling with tenderness. Breathing in, I'm aware of the painful feeling in me. Breathing out, I calm my painful feeling. With continued mindful breathing and walking, we can lullaby and embrace our painful feeling. Later on, with the practice of looking deeply, we can discover the nature of our afflictions and get the insight that will liberate us from them. But for the time being, by just embracing our feeling mindfully, tenderly, we already get some relief. The 3rd set of 4 exercises, the mind. With the 9th exercise, we come to the other mental formations. Feelings are just one category of mental formation. Formation, samskara, is a term meaning that many conditions have come together in order for something to manifest. There are the good mental formations and the not-so-good ones. The 9th exercise is to be aware of our mind and recognize the state of our mind, just as the 3rd exercise is awareness of the body and the 7th is awareness of the feelings. Breathing in, I'm aware of my mind. Breathing out, I'm aware of my mind. We become aware of any mental formation that has manifested. Aware of mental formations, I breathe in. The mind is a river, in which every mental formation is a drop of water. We sit on the bank of the river and observe the manifestation and fading of each mental formation. We don't need to fight, grasp, or push the mental formations away. We just calmly recognize them and smile to them, whether they're pleasant or unpleasant. When anger is there, we say, breathing in, I know the mental formation anger is in me. When the mental formation of doubt is there, we breathe in and recognize the presence of doubt in us. The practitioner is an observer. He needs mindfulness and concentration to recognize the mental formations. Then later on, he can look deeply into the nature of the mental formation. The 10th exercise is to gladden the mind. Breathing in, I make my mind happy. Breathing out, I make my mind happy. We make the mind glad in order to strengthen, encourage, and give vitality to it. When we help the mind to be more joyful and energetic, it gives us the strength to embrace and look deeply into our difficulties later on. If we know how our mind functions, it will be easier for us to practice the 10th exercise. The 4 practices of true diligence, right effort, help us to be aware of our mind while giving the negative seeds a chance to rest. The first practice of right effort is to allow the negative seeds to sleep in our store consciousness and not give them a chance to manifest. If they manifest too often, their base will be strengthened. The second practice is that when a negative seed manifests, we help it go back as quickly as possible. If it stays too long, we will suffer, and its base will also be strengthened. The third practice of right diligence is to replace a negative mental formation with a positive one. We shift our attention. We call this changing the peg. When a peg joining 2 pieces of wood has become rotten, the carpenter drives a new peg into the hole, driving out the old peg at the same time. The fourth practice is that when a good mental formation is manifested, we try to keep it there as long as we can. Just as when a good friend comes to visit and the whole house is joyful, so we try to keep him with us a few more days. We can also help another person to change the mental formation. If a dark thought, anger or fear manifests in her, we can practice watering a good seed in her that will manifest and replace the other mental formation. We call this practice selective watering. We can organize our life in such a way that the good seeds can be touched and watered several times a day. The 11th exercise is to bring the mind into concentration in order to get insight. Breathing in, I concentrate my mind. Breathing out, I concentrate my mind. Concentration has the power to burn away the afflictions. It's like a lens focusing the sunlight to burn a piece of paper. When concentration can burn away the afflictions, then there is insight. The Buddha gave us many teachings that can help us to cultivate concentration. Impermanence, no self, and emptiness are concentrations we can practice in our daily life. For example, whatever we're in touch with during the day, whether it's a friend, a flower, a cloud, we can practice to see its nature of impermanence, interbeing, and so on. The 12th exercise is to liberate the mind. Breathing in, I liberate my mind. Breathing out, I liberate my mind. We need the strength of concentration to cut through the afflictions, sorrow, fear, anger, discrimination, that tie up and bind our mind. The teaching on impermanence is still a notion, but it can be used as an instrument that helps bring about the insight of impermanence. The match can bring about the flame, and when we have the flame will consume the match. What we need for our liberation is the insight of impermanence. When the insight is there, it burns the notion. We practice the concentration on impermanence to bring about the insight of impermanence. While sitting, walking, breathing, doing things, we're concentrated on the nature of impermanence. Concentration, samadhi, means to maintain that awareness alive, one moment after the other, as long as possible. Only concentration can bring insight and liberate us. Suppose we're about to have a fight with someone. Suffering is in us. Our mind is not free. The concentration on impermanence can free us both from anger. Breathing in, I visualize my beloved one 300 years from now. It may take only one in-breath to touch the reality of impermanence. Breathing in, I know I am still alive and he is still alive. And when we open our eyes, the only thing we want to do is to take him into our arms. Breathing in, you are still alive. I'm so happy. That is liberation with insight, the insight of impermanence. If we are inhabited by the insight of impermanence, we'll deal with him very wisely. Whatever we can do to make him happy today, we will do it. We won't wait for tomorrow, because tomorrow it may be too late. Some people cry so much when the other person dies. That's because they know that during the time the other person was alive, they didn't treat her well. It is the complex of guilt that causes that person to suffer like that, because they didn't have the insight of impermanence. Impermanence is just one concentration we can practice. The last set of 4 exercises. Perceptions. Now we come to the realm of objects of mind. In Buddhism, the world and all phenomena are conceived of as objects of mind, not as objective reality. We're often caught by the notion that there's a consciousness inside us and an objective world out there that we're trying to understand, and this affects our perceptions. But in the light of interbeing, subject and object can't exist separately. When we perceive something, the object of perception always manifests at the same time as the subject of perception. To be conscious always means to be conscious of something. The 13th exercise is contemplating impermanence. Breathing in, I observe the impermanent nature of all dharmas. Breathing out, I observe the impermanent nature of all dharmas. We're ready to accept and agree that things are impermanent, but we still live and behave as though we will always be there, and that we will be always the same person we are now. In reality, everything is changing in every moment. When we're with someone, We may be in touch with the person he was 20 years ago, and we're not able to touch the person of the present moment, who has a different way of thinking and feeling. We're not really in touch with the truth of impermanence. So we use mind consciousness and meditate on impermanence. The concentration on impermanence brings the insight of impermanence that can liberate us. Impermanence is just one concentration. Going deeply into impermanence, we discover no self, emptiness, and interbeing. So impermanence represents all concentrations. While breathing in, we keep our concentration on impermanence alive. And when we breathe out, we keep the concentration on impermanence alive, until we make a breakthrough into the heart of reality. The object of our observation may be a flower, a pebble, the person we love, the person we hate, maybe us, maybe our pain, our sorrow. Anything can serve as the object of our meditation, and we have to touch the nature of impermanence in it. The 14th exercise is contemplating non-desire, non-craving. Breathing in, I observe the disappearance of desire. Breathing out, I observe the disappearance of desire. This exercise is to help manas, which is always seeking pleasure and ignoring the dangers of pleasure-seeking. The contemplation on impermanence can help manas to transform. We look deeply into the object of our craving to see its true nature. The object of our craving may destroy our body and our mind. Being aware of what we desire and of what we consume is a crucial practice. The Buddha offered us a teaching on the 4 nutrients, the 4 sources of food we consume every day. The first source is volition, our deepest desire. It brings us the vitality we need to live our life. We have to look into the nature of our desire to see whether it's wholesome or not. Our desire may be pleasure-seeking, which can be very dangerous. It may be the desire for revenge, the desire to punish. These kinds of unwholesome desire have at their foundation a lot of wrong perceptions. We need to look deeply to recognize that such desire has come from fear, doubt, anger, and so on. Siddhartha was also inspired by a kind of desire, an aspiration. He saw the suffering in his kingdom, and saw that political power wasn't enough to help. So he sought another path, that of transforming himself, helping other people to transform, and opening up a new way. We call that desire the mind of enlightenment, the beginner's mind. We should have a strong aspiration to maintain our beginner's mind alive. It's the beginner's mind that gives us the strength and energy to continue the practice. The second source of nutriment is consciousness. This is our collective consciousness, collective energy. Individuals in a group tend to generate the same kind of energy. When we come together to practice mindfulness, concentration, compassion, we generate these wholesome energies collectively, and it's very nourishing and healing. Building a Sangha is very healing for the world. If we're with a group of angry people, their negative energy comes into us. In the beginning, we may not be like them, but if we stay long enough, slowly that collective energy will penetrate us, and to some degree, we'll become like them without even realizing it. It's very important to see whether or not we're in a good environment. For ourselves and for our children, we need a safe environment in which the collective energy is wholesome. The third kind of food is sensory impression, what we consume in terms of music, magazines, films, conversations, advertisements. When we read an article or watch a film or program containing violence and anger, it penetrates into us. We have to decide what to consume and what not to consume. Psychotherapists need to be very careful. As a psychotherapist, you listen to so many kinds of suffering and anger. You need a strong practice to stay healthy and solid, otherwise you'll get sick. You're trying to help, but you may be invaded by the negative energy of the clients you meet with every day. Every psychotherapist has to build a Sangha. With a Sangha, you're protected, and you get nourishment every week when you come together. Otherwise, you'll burn out, and you can't continue to help. The Buddha spent a lot of time building a Sangha, and we should do the same. We can look for elements of our Sangha around us, and build a Sangha for our protection and nourishment, and to keep our practice alive. Otherwise we'll lose our practice after a few months, and the sensory impressions, what we consume by the way of the eyes, the nose, the ears, the body, and the mind, will penetrate us. Mindful consumption is the practice that protects us, our family, our society. It's the path to healing ourselves and preventing the destruction of our planet. The fourth source of nutriment is edible food. We should eat only the things that can bring peace and well-being into our body and mind. We eat in a way that helps retain compassion in our heart. If we can do that, we can save our planet and assure a future for our children. The 15th exercise is to contemplate cessation. Breathing in, I observe cessation. Breathing out, I observe cessation. Cessation means nirvana, the extinction of all notions, the true reality in itself. The nature of reality transcends all notions, including the notions of birth and death, being and non-being. This is what is at the heart of this meditation, the final effort to get liberated. The contemplation on impermanence, no self, emptiness, no birth and no death, can lead to this kind of release. The notion of birth and death can be a source of anguish, anxiety, and fear. It is only with the insight of no birth and no death that we can transcend anxiety and fear. The 16th exercise is contemplating nirvana, extinction. Breathing in, I observe letting go. Breathing out, I observe letting go. This exercise is to throw away all notions in order to be free. This concentration can help us touch the true nature of reality and the deep wisdom that will liberate us from fear, anger, and despair. The word nirvana means extinction. Nirvana is not a place to go or something that exists in the future. Nirvana is the nature of reality as it is. Nirvana is available in the here and the now. A wave rising on the surface of the ocean is made of water. But sometimes she forgets she's made of water. A wave has a beginning, an end, a coming up, a going down. A wave can be higher or lower, more or less powerful than other waves. If the wave is caught by notions like beginning, ending, coming up, going down, being more or less powerful, she'll suffer. But if she realizes she is water, the situation changes right away. As water, she no longer minds about beginning, ending, going up, going down. She can enjoy going up, going down, being this wave, being the other wave. There's no discrimination, no fear. She doesn't have to go and look for water. She is water in the present moment. Our true nature is no beginning, no end, no birth, no death. If we know how to touch our true nature, there's no fear, no anger, no more despair. Our true nature is the nature of nirvana. We have been nirvanized from the non-beginning. In our mind, to die means from something we will suddenly become nothing. From someone we will suddenly become no one. We know a cloud cannot die. A cloud can become rain, snow, hail, a river, tea, or juice, but it's impossible for the cloud to die. The true nature of the cloud is the nature of no birth and no death. So if someone close to you has just passed away, be sure to look for her in her new manifestation. It's impossible for her to die. She's continued in many ways. With the eyes of the Buddha, you can recognize her around you and inside you. Darling, I know you are still here in your new form. Before our birth, we already existed in our mother's womb. And before that, we existed half in our father and half in our mother. Something cannot come from nothing. We haven't come from non-being. We've always been there in one form or another. Our nature is the nature of no birth and no death. Nirvana means the extinction of all notions, including the notions of birth and death, being and non-being. The 16th exercise is to throw away, to release all these notions and be completely free. Practice. A letter from your inner child, Glen Schneider. This is a practice that combines the two practices of writing a letter and listening to what the child has to say. In doing this practice, it's helpful to ask the child, "How did you feel?" rather than reviewing the details of all that happened to you as a child, and also to ask, "What do you want now from the adult that we've become?" Then write the letter you think the inner child in you would write. It might be quite a laundry list that can keep you really busy. Some of the things my little guy wanted were a stuffed animal to sleep with, orange sherbet ice cream, a Swanson's frozen chicken pie dinner, and I'm a vegetarian, and to get back in touch with a favorite cousin we hadn't seen in over 30 years. Just put your pen or pencil to the paper and write whatever comes to you. Don't worry about editing, just write. The point is to establish communication. I've done nearly everything on my little guy's list, and since I've been doing this, I felt so much more settled and happier, in a really profound way. Practice. The 5 earth touchings. The practice of touching the earth, also known as bowing deeply or prostrating, helps us return to the earth and to our roots, and to recognize that we are not alone, but connected to a whole stream of spiritual blood and land ancestors. We touch the earth to let go of the idea that we are separate, and to remind us that we are the earth and part of life. When we touch the earth, we breathe in all the strength and stability of the earth and of our blood, spiritual and land ancestors, and we breathe out our suffering, our feelings of anger, hatred, fear, inadequacy, and grief. 1. In gratitude, I bow to all generations of ancestors in my blood family. I see my mother and father, whose blood, flesh, and vitality are circulating in my own veins and nourishing every cell in me. Through them I see my 4 grandparents. I carry in me the life, blood, experience, wisdom, happiness, and sorrow of all generations. I open my heart, flesh, and bones to receive the energy of insight, love, and experience transmitted to me by my ancestors. I know that parents always love and support their children and grandchildren, although they are not always able to express it skillfully because of difficulties they have encountered. As a continuation of my ancestors, I allow their energy to flow through me and ask for their support, protection, and strength. 2. In gratitude, I bow to all generations of ancestors in my spiritual family. I see in myself my teachers, the ones who show me the way of love and understanding, the way to breathe, smile, forgive, and live deeply in the present moment. I open my heart and my body to receive the energy of understanding, loving kindness, and protection from the awakened ones, their teachings, and the community of practice over many generations. I vow to practice to transform the suffering in myself and the world, and to transmit their energy to future generations of practitioners. 3. In gratitude, I bow to this land and all of the ancestors who made it available. I see that I am whole, protected, and nourished by this land, and all of the living beings that have been here and made life worthwhile and possible for me through all their efforts. I see myself touching my ancestors of Native American origin who have lived on this land for such a long time and have practiced the ways to live in peace and harmony with nature, protecting the mountains, forests, animals, vegetation, and minerals of this land. I feel the energy of this land penetrating my body and soul, supporting and accepting me. I vow to contribute my part in transforming the violence, hatred, and delusion that still lie deep in the consciousness of this society, so that future generations will have more safety, joy, and peace. I ask this land for its protection and support. 4. In gratitude and compassion, I bow down and transmit my energy to those I love. All the energy I have received I now want to transmit to my father, my mother, everyone I love, and all who have suffered and worried because of me and for my sake. I want all of them to be healthy and joyful. I pray that all ancestors in my blood, spiritual, and land families will focus their energies toward each of them, to protect and support them. I am one with those I love. 5. In understanding and compassion, I bow down to reconcile myself with all those who have made me suffer. I open my heart and send forth my energy of love and understanding to everyone who has made me suffer, to those who have destroyed much of my life and the lives of those I love. I know now that these people have themselves undergone a lot of suffering, and that their hearts are overloaded with pain, anger, and hatred. I pray that they can be transformed to experience the joy of living, so that they will not continue to make themselves and others suffer. I see their suffering, and do not want to hold any feelings of hatred or anger in myself toward them. I do not want them to suffer. I channel my energy of love and understanding to them, and ask all my ancestors to help them. Practice. Peace note. Date, time, dear blank. This morning, or afternoon, you said, or did, something that made me very angry. I suffered very much. I want you to know this. You said or did blank. Please let us both look at what you said or did, and examine the matter together in a calm and open manner this Friday evening. Yours, not very happy right now, blank. Practice. Beginning anew. We can practice beginning anew in our family, our community of practice, with a person with whom we're having difficulty. We can even practice beginning anew with ourselves. At Plum Village, we practice beginning anew every week. We sit in a circle with a vase of fresh flowers in the center, and we follow our breathing as we wait for the facilitator to begin. The ceremony has 3 parts: flower watering, expressing regrets, and expressing hurts and difficulties. This practice can prevent feelings of hurt from building up over the weeks and helps make the situation safe for everyone in the community. We begin with flower watering. When someone is ready to speak, she joins her palms and the others join their palms to show that she has the right to speak. Then she stands, walks slowly to the flowers, takes the vase in her hands, and returns to her seat. When she speaks, her words reflect the freshness and beauty of the flowers that are in front of her. During flower watering, the speaker acknowledges the wholesome, wonderful qualities of the others. It is not flattery. We always speak the truth. Everyone has strong points that can be seen with awareness. No one can interrupt the person who is speaking. She is allowed as much time as she needs, and everyone else practices deep listening. When she has finished speaking, she stands up and returns the vase to the center of the room. We should not underestimate the first step of flower watering. When we can sincerely recognize the beautiful qualities of other people, it is very difficult to hold on to our feelings of anger and resentment. We will naturally soften, and our perspective will become wider and more inclusive of the whole reality. When we are no longer caught in misperceptions, irritation, and judgment, we can easily find the way to reconcile ourselves with others in our community or family. The essence of this practice is to restore love and understanding between members of the community. In the second part of the ceremony, we express regrets for anything we have done to hurt others. It does not take more than one thoughtless phrase to hurt someone. The ceremony of beginning anew is an opportunity for us to recall some regret from earlier in the week and undo it. In the third part of the ceremony, we express ways in which others have hurt us. Loving speech is crucial. We want to heal the community, not harm it. We speak frankly, but we do not want to be destructive. Listening meditation is an important part of the practice. When we sit among a circle of friends who are all practicing deep listening, our speech becomes more beautiful and more constructive. We never blame or argue. In this final part of the ceremony, compassionate listening is crucial. We listen to another's hurts and difficulties with the willingness to relieve the suffering of the other person, not to judge or argue with her. We listen with all our attention. Even if we hear something that isn't true, we continue to listen deeply, so the other person can express her pain and release the tensions within herself. If we reply to her or correct her, the practice will not bear fruit. We just listen. If we need to tell the other person that her perception was not correct, we can do that a few days later, privately and calmly. Then, at the next beginning anew session, she may be the person who rectifies the error, and we will not have to say anything. We close the ceremony with a song or by holding hands with everyone in the circle and breathing for a minute. Practice. Emotional release and physical movement. Thay Phap An. Often when we meditate and search for the roots of surface upsets and attachments, within a minute or two strong images from childhood may come up. It's very important that we are aware of the physical at these moments. Our body may start to shake, and we can erupt in waves of crying, sobbing that can last for a few minutes or even longer. The emotional release can feel very healing, and after an episode we may feel lighter and often have important insights. Over time, we can come to feel much more free. This process for releasing suffering is very good. The crying and the discharge is very healing. It is to be expected. The first time something comes up, the discharge may be a 10 on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the strongest. The next time it will be 8, then 6, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then, with the energy discharged, we will be able to look deeply and to understand. And that is where true love is born. We won't have any more anger, and we can understand and truly love the people who hurt us so much. It is important not to get caught in the process of discharge and relief, or in the suffering that is revealed. It is good to watch for the pattern of how things come up. The process has to be natural. True healing comes with true understanding. These kinds of intense energies can become embedded in the body and in certain organs, the kidneys, the liver, or heart, and after they are discharged, the body and organs are very vulnerable and out of balance. So it is important to take care of them and do things that move the energy around in some kind of regular physical exercise, like Tai Chi or Qigong, to help your body to heal.